I just follow your trail and I'm losing your mind and I'm losing your head. Let me escape from this love, cause I'm a prisoner. I just want to look my way and never back to you.
What's going on, folks? Will Stewart here, and we've got a fellow bald and bearded friend filling in for Mr. Cody Mac today. I've seen him popping back in there in the back trying to get on. It's got some people in town, and to everyone else who's out there live streaming, what are you doing? This is my time. No, I'm just kidding. It's been that way every single Tuesday for 4 months now. I'm just playing. But thank you guys for folks who are watching. We got Matt Hayes already in the house. Look, I don't care who else is streaming. If Matt Hayes is watching my show, you're watching the wrong show if you're not watching this one. Make sure to massacre that like button. Throw a subscribe on the channel if you are new. And no, I think the other guys are going. They had special shows that they've been trying to get in that have been canceled and rescheduled and canceled and rescheduled. So this may have just been the only time they're available, and that's all good because this one's going to be a fun one, I think. So, but Mr. Bob, tell the people how you are today. You're muted right now, I do believe. Let me unmute you there. There you go.
Kind of killed it there, didn't you? Yeah, very well, thank you. I am enjoying my rebirth day today, as my people who follow me on Twitter will know. Yeah, today, not dampening on things at all, but yeah, today I died for a few minutes, and cut a long story short, heart operation, open heart surgery, recovery, and here I am, all fitish and well, enjoying life, and I could not ask for a better place than to be at Tottenham's ground, but they obviously shut, so I thought I'd come here today and keep you company.
Yeah, well, no, I appreciate that, and thank you for joining. And that picture that you put on Twitter was great, by the way.
Yes,
you'll
I know.
You'll have to send me just the head part of that PNG wise.
Yes.
And whenever you do fill in for Cody here, I'll throw that over his face here because it would be, I think it would be very comical and funny. I like it.
Upgrade. I think the word is upgrade. Cody knows that as well. People
he says it's more like Cody Mac 0.5, so he's only saying
no. People are switching on, going, "What? Cody's actually spent some money to improve his looks." Oh, no, it's not Cody. It's Bob, and yeah.
And when you come on with your glasses, you almost fit that other Cody Mac thing. They're pretty close. So just add a little salt and pepper to that, and you'll be good to go, man.
That's it.
A little salt and pepper to that. But folks, not a whole lot of Tottenham news over the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, really, since I did see today, though, that Nuno Espirito Santo, making his way to the training ground for the first time, and retweeted that out. And I think that's I'm telling you what, Bob, a lot of people haven't been, but Nuno's always kind of been on my short list for a while now. And so for me, I think this is a pretty decent thing. And I'm getting a little bit excited about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he was kind of the best of the rest, wasn't he? It came down to the disappointment, Will, comes purely from the fact that we were linked with the likes of Poch and Conte, and us as a YouTube family. We've done streams on Poch coming back and streams on Conte coming in, and it never came to fruition. And we did get excited, and rightly so. Poch, obviously, with his previous love and what he did with the club, and Conte obviously being a born winner. But if Nuno had come in at the off, I don't think I would have been that disappointed. And regardless, we were happy to accept Fonseca in. We were all behind him. We did streams on Fonseca as well. And we're here to back our manager. And I'll back Nuno. I want him to go, and I've always said this, regardless of who we got, I want him to come in and be the best manager we've ever had. I want him to go down in history to be the most successful and the best manager we've ever had. Only time will tell. It's one of those, isn't it, mate? It's like any other player. It's like a player when we sign. You have to sit back and wait to see what he does. And I think the same has to go with Nuno. It's a different kettle of fish managing Spurs in comparison to Wolves. Having said that, there are many similarities.
Yeah, I know. It's like, for me, I never really thought that the Poch thing was going to happen. I didn't think that was really going to go down. Conte one would have been probably of the people who weren't in a job already. Conte would probably have been my first choice. And then, Nagelsmann may have been a little bit better of an option. And then, likes, Pep and Klopp and stuff like that. But that's obviously not going to happen. But outside of that, man, Nuno is probably there for me. Especially as far as all the other people that we were linked with. For me, it was kind of like Ten Hag and Nuno were about on, even par. One being a little bit more attacking, one having far more Premier League experience. So for me, those two were kind of hand in hand. Then everybody else was way down the bucket list. So I think we kind of dodged the bullet.
Yeah, certainly when it comes to Gattuso. But I think a lot of people are looking back at the last year that was in charge of Wolves, and of course it was disappointing. And I think there are specific reasons behind why it was a poor season. Injuries, the number of games they've had for 3 seasons in a row, and the fact that he probably did get a bit stale there. We needed a new voice when Poch had been at Spurs for a while, and I think Spurs needed a lot as well. They needed a new voice as well. But you can't overlook what he did in the Championship. Yeah, people go, "Oh, Championship," but it's a hard league, and the football that they played in that Championship, and Neves, the way he came to the fore, I think scored like 12, 13 goals, all from outside the area, and then coming into the Premier League, the best league in the league in the world, best league in the world, finishing top 7. 2 years getting into Europe, playing really good football. I used to hate playing Wolves, especially their first 2 seasons, and they always were our bogey team. I remember winning 2-1 at Molineux when Jan Vertonghen scored in the last minute. We should have lost that game. Traore was brought down about 428 times by Dyer alone in that game, and it was never. You could never predict an easy game against. We were never confident, and they beat us at home a couple of times, and I didn't like playing. I didn't look forward to playing Wolves, no matter what. Even last season, I didn't look forward to it. So there is something about it. Last season went a bit stale, and he probably overstayed. Well, a lot of people are saying that the lockdown took a lot out of Nuno because the kind of person he is, a very people's person, and it took a lot out of him. And whatever your manager feels does obviously take over the players as well. We saw that with Poch as well in his last season. So I'm semi-excited, and certainly more excited about him coming in than Fonseca.
I'm not, and they've got Alex D in the house. And Alex, I love you, man. I'm clutching at straws about Nuno. I'm not, fella. I'm not. Yeah. And in fact, Nuno Espirito Santo may be the best person for you, Alex. Right? Yeah. If you to get to make sure that you keep on to the players that you love, like Ben Davies and Harry Winks and those guys right there. You should be happy. Alex should be happy. Tickle pink for the
happy. Love you, Alex.
He's never happy, but always smiling, right?
Always smiling. Love that smile.
But all the folks in the chat, just real quick, we got Orange Fantasy. I don't know if I've seen you in the chat before, unless you change your name or something like that. Thanks for watching the show. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Mr. Messi, kudos, Reload, Mark Swift, who's everywhere. Man, I tell you what, every time Mark Swift sees me in the chat anywhere, he's always like, hey, Will, what's going on? Big up. Yeah. Big up to you, Mark, for always being everywhere and loving folks and showing love to all of us YouTubers. Mr. Genty, he doesn't know anything about football, thinking Nuno is than Potter. Better. I think Genty's trying to say better than Potter.
Genty, at least get all the words in, mate. Come on.
Nice banter there, Genty, but it doesn't fly. Terry Wright's in the house. Mr. Cody Mac himself is there. Because usually when you get work done, you do it to like younger Bob. Not old. And then all the other folks. Cody Mac has family in town, so he didn't know if he was going to be able to jump on computer wise today, so he can figure out his phone connection. He may jump in audio only at some point. We also have Mario. He's got no more summer school for himself. Well, that's good, man. You should jump onto a rant show sometime then.
Yes.
Or one of the other 9 million shows that we do. But yeah, so today's topic of the show, other than the normal just BS that we do here on the show, is Takehiro Tomiyasu. And for the folks who watch this after the fact and usually don't watch the whole hour and a half stream, I'm going to try to do this as close to the front as possible, and then we can just kind of talk about it and roll it out. But I mean, before I bring this up, there any thoughts on him yourself, Bob, that you have? You know, I know that he's a player that not a lot of us know a lot about, but I mean, what are just your thoughts so far on him as a potential signing?
It's evident
we'll go pre-thoughts, and then after we talk about his statistics, we can do post-thoughts.
Yeah. Well, we need defenders, don't we, Will? Regardless, obviously we need quality defenders. I'll be honest, of course, there's not much. Shaq, mate. Oh, that's a whole different conversation. Yeah, DM me and I'll tell you. Yeah, Jose, get over it. But yeah, we need defenders, quality defenders. We need defenders who I believe can improve and give a bit of support with Rodon. I think it's ready, tailor-made for a back three. Tanganga as well, but I do believe probably it's too early for him. Rodon has showed a bit more international class. Tomiyasu, I've YouTubed him like probably every Spurs player. I mean, Sissoko looks good on YouTube, mate. So, but from what I can gather, he can go down the right. He can play he can play right back as well as central defence, and that's what we need. We need a bit of someone who's versatile in those areas, but it is all about improving our defence. And Nuno's going to go back three, so we need the right personnel to fit that. So any defender who's linked with us at the moment has to be of quality and has to suit the system and make us a bit more stronger, especially if we're going to play the way Nuno likes to play.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And so for people who don't know, I'm going to give a little bit of narrative here on his background, and then we'll bring up some graphics and stuff like that just kind of show him in comparison with some of our current defenders and stuff like that. So basically, Tomiyasu is 22 years old, right? He's about 6'2". So in footballing terms, that's not super tall, but it's not super short either. It's a fairly decent size, height wise. He is officially ambidextrous, which means that he does not have a weak foot. It's not just that he's like Son, where he's trained his left foot to be stronger than the other. He is full on clinically ambidextrous. So that's a positive thing. 22 years old. He'll be 23 in November. He was born in Fukuoka, Japan. And he's been kind of a prodigy his whole life. Right. So according to some of his earlier club career, he was actually recommended for a trial at FC Barcelona when he was 11. So he's been kind of just, a youth kind of prodigy in Japan. Yeah. His first club was Avispa, Fukuoka, and he made his. Let's see, when did he make his? He started initially playing in the midfield, so he played in a center midfield type position. So he's very good on the ball. Switched to center back position in the 2013 season. So it was not too, we're talking, he didn't switch to center back until about his U15 time frame. So, I mean, he has, played a lot of his time as a center midfielder. Made his first national team experience, so the Japan national team at the U16 age. So he got 2 appearances at the U16, so U15. So I mean, he's been at the top of the Japanese football tier for pretty much his whole life, right? So he's not some, he's kind of in the same vein as Son Heung-min as far as being,
he's not a late developer, is he? He's not come into it like an Ndembele, who only came into it last a couple of years. He's always been been professional, yeah.
And he hasn't missed a call up since the U16s. So he had only had 2 appearances during his U16 career, but U17 17 appearances, U18 10, U19 13, U20 U21. He got a few appearances only because he was in and out of the actual Japanese national team at that age, with 23 appearances so far. So he's a fairly accomplished in his own league. But in 2018, he moved to the Belgian first division side, Sint-Truiden, where he immediately became a week in, week out starter. He played mainly in the center back position for that club, and then he moved to Bologna just a season later on a €9 million deal. And since then, he has been playing, starting in most of the matches, and playing up to, I think, is averaging around 89 minutes an appearance. Yeah. So pretty much a staple for the Bologna side, where he's played right back and center back. And so, and when I show the graphic here in a minute, you'll be able to see that he's pretty much just all over the pitch. His style of play, for people that don't know, is that he can play either right back, DR, DC, and DL. He's never really played as a left back, but I wouldn't say that it would be outside of his preview to do so in an emergency if he had to. I think because he's ambidextrous, people tend to play him in positions where his left foot is advantageous to him, when it can be. And that's probably why, I don't know if you've seen that goal, Bobby, where he cuts in across the top of the box and just pelts it top bins with his left foot. Yeah.
And that's when I had to double check to see which if he was left-footed, because it's Ian Thing playing a right-footer down the left, and we saw that with Bale constantly doing. I'm not comparing to get Bale, of course I'm not. But yeah, the way he took it so comfortably and so elegantly and with so much veracity and accuracy, I thought, well, right, the guy's obviously left-footed. And it's only then, like you say, it's realises actually he is officially 2-footed.
Yeah.
That can only be so rare. I don't think I've ever come across another player that way, and certainly a left-footed defender is someone, or certainly someone who's comfortable on the left foot, is a defender that we need.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw this up here. Let's get the ball heads out the way. So this is just kind of a little makeup that I've done here. And Bob, while we're talking over the top of it, I'll probably throw it full screen so the folks at home can see it a little bit better, and we can just talk behind it. So this is just kind of a screen here that kind of just shows, some of the basic information about him, some of the positions that he plays. It shows here on the map that his primary positions where he's played is, DL, DC, DR. So he's able to play any center back role in that back line, which is very versatile. And then two, his little map charts here. So like just comparing him to Joe Rodon. So Joe Rodon's defensive numbers are 86. So you could say that Joe Rodon is probably a little bit more defensive minded than Takehiro Tomiyasu. but tactically, his numbers and Joe Roden numbers are almost identical. And then as far as creativity, technical ability, and attacking, Takehiro Tomiyasu outscores him in all of those numbers. So he's definitely a on the ball type center back, good with his feet, technically sound, better at passing, and obviously better at attacking since he can play a right back. And then comparing with like a Davinson Sanchez, Joe Roden's numbers here are high defensively due to his performance at the Euros. And then Davinson Sanchez here, about a 10. So Davinson Sanchez is a little bit more defensive, but Takehiro Tomiyasu is better tactically, technically, attacking wise, and creative wise. So almost better in every attribute, and not that far away from him on the defensive side. And then I think the one is a little bit better of a comparison, more of an apple to apple type comparison would be with Japhet Tanganga, right? Someone who can play right back and center back, and they're about the same age, and have about the exact same kind of experience playing. And he outperforms Japhet Tanganga in almost every respect. So he's got better tactical awareness, which is like positioning, better defensively than Japhet Tanganga, better creativity, better attacking, and better technical skills than Japhet Tanganga. So no need to really leave that up there a whole lot anymore. But so for me, the Japhet Tanganga one was really just kind of to put in my mind, to be able to square in my mind, okay, where does this guy fit, right? Yeah. Where does this guy fit in? How can I compare him? I mean, obviously he's not going to be as defensively sound as, say, a Toby Alderweireld or something like that. So what two people? So the Joe Roden one, Japhet Tanganga, and then Davinson Sanchez, just to kind of throw it in there. I know that not a lot of us rate him either, but so it doesn't seem like he's necessarily as good defensively as maybe, say, Joe Roden statically in the box. But the problem is a lot of the numbers that I've had is he played right back a lot of the time this last season for Bologna, so there may not be a lot of truly defensive numbers available for him. So, but I wouldn't say that Japhet Tanganga is necessarily poor in defense.
No, I think we are looking at an average over performances, and suffice to say, Tanganga's average over number of games will be a lot less than Tomiyasu's. But mostly of the YouTube clips that we saw were from him with him playing a right back. It was very rarely we saw an unbelievable clearance or a tackle. It was mostly on the front foot. Even when he was central defence, there was a lot of carrying out the ball and finding his pass. And similar to Rodon, I'd be happy with him there. A new profile of defender, certainly young, but I do feel, I'm sure we'll touch on it later, we need someone with experience there as well. Unfortunately, Toby looks like he's going, so we do need to replace that experience that the guys can sponge off. But as for Tomiyasu, the more I see of him, the more I hear about him, 100%. And let's be honest, the amount of money the revenue he'll be able to generate from the Japanese market will be immense, Will. And if he generates anything similar to what Sonny has brought us, with quids in.
Yeah, to just go through some comments here. You got, Todd K saying, so Tommy isn't as defensive as our current guys. I wouldn't necessarily. So these are what they call, this is like a depth chart. So this is saying where when clubs judge players on how they perform, how you can compare two players together in their attributes. This isn't saying that he can't be as defensive as Joe Roden. It's based specifically on the outcomes of the available statistics. So it's not saying that he isn't as defensive as those players. But like I said, you have someone who's like Joe Rodon, who, and also too, I think one that's really key that people need to look at is the tactical awareness, right? Because tactical awareness really comes into positioning, and he far exceeds a lot of the players here on his tactical ability. That means being in position, being a smart player, having a high footballing IQ.
Adapt, yeah.
And I think Joe Rodon is a fantastic center back, to be fair. And so to say that, yeah, he's almost as good as Joe Rodon, but not quite, I don't think that's a slate on Takehiro Tomiyasu. And the fact that he's more creative and has better technical ability than Joe Rodon, if you're playing on the right side or the left side of a back three, Joe Rodon's not an outside, center back. He's the center. He's the one that kind of plays as that foundational block. And then for Jaffa Tanganga either, I haven't seen anything with Jaffa Tanganga to say that he's, he may be young and inexperienced, but he's not a shabby player at all. And Reload here says these stats are pretty meaningless without a ton of context. I don't know how much possession. Yeah, so I wouldn't say they're meaningless, right? This is supposed to be a depth chart. So where does the player rate compared to our other players in their attributes? This isn't about what percentile of this or that he is in the world, right? This is about a depth chart on his footballing attributes. Like, I don't know how very many people are familiar, but most clubs, even here in the United States, will do a depth chart on players and where they rank in level in the club. And like here in the US, we use technical, tactical, physical, and mental capabilities, right? Or emotional, or however you want to say it, but so we call it TTPE, right? Or TTPM. And it's how you rate a player to find out where they are along in their development. And that's what these types of charts are, right? So I'm not comparing, because to be honest with you, even comparing statistics across two different leagues is kind of pointless, right? Unless they're playing in this.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah, I was going to say, and it also bypasses the whole, a lot of people throw when a certain player comes available. Oh, he's only had one good season. Oh, he's only done it for one season. It kind of bypasses that because it is generally created over his whole career, which obviously stands well going forward. And certainly at the age of 22, when his tactical awareness is certainly up there, it just means he has got the ability to adapt and take on information and like I say, adapt tactically as well, which obviously we need. Being two-footed obviously helps as well.
And then he says, what's comprising the stats in the chart, like defense, is it the tackles per 90, blocks, etc.? Yeah, all of those things, clearances, any of the stats that the SOFA score uses to evaluate their players, that's what they're basing that depth chart on. Yeah. This is just to show where they compare in these attributes, right? Attacking wise, defending wise. And like I said before, the fact that he's only a 66 defender. I mean, you can kind of think of it as like a FIFA score, right? Yeah. So everybody plays FIFA 20 or 21 now, I guess. And you know how OVR is rated, right? So you can think of this as a player's OVR. And even those FIFA OVRs are based on actual statistics, right? There's those do have some weight. It's not just a video game. They may not be super accurate as far as like to say that they would be reliable for selecting a team, but it is supposed to be an overall picture, right? So the fact that he's played right back for the most of his time at Bologna, and if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I really don't care because I'm not Italian and all that stuff. But I think he's from what I've seen from him and how he plays, would I be comfortable with him necessarily being the leader in the middle of that back three? No, I probably wouldn't, right? But if you're playing on the peripherals of a back three or as a right back in a back four, like, to be honest with you, him playing, if we decide to play a black back four, him being that guy who kind of sits in while Sergio Reguilon bombs forward, I think would be fantastic, because technically and tactically, he's far better than any of the other guys. And attacking wise, he's almost 10. Put it this way, he's 10 points better on attack than Japhet Tanganga, and 10 points better in creativity. Just so people know, here I can't bring it up on screen, but I can look up the stat here for, just because I don't have it prepared. But if I were to do the same thing with Sergio Reguilon,
yeah, I think with him tucking in as well, it just does give us that option to go from a back four to a back three if I'm required, because Reguilon does play down the wing most of the time, especially against, let's just say, the lesser teams. Reguilon's essentially a left winger, with Sonny tucking in from the left and giving that extra bit of attacking flair. So if he's got capabilities, I know Jose was big on playing Ben Davis that way. He wanted to tuck Ben Davis in on the left. I think we saw that against West Ham in his first game, and that could have worked. But someone who's not just stuck to one position is great in my eyes, and it can work to the detriment. But if you're good enough in one position, a lot of people say Tanganga, the fact he's so good at, or been good at right back, kind of he's not been able to hold down that centre back position.
So just for reference too, so people are watching here. So looking at this same map, this style of map here, and I'll blow it up again so people can maybe see it a little bit better. The attacking numbers for Sergio Reguilon are 50 versus a 42. We all know that Sergio Reguilon's more attacking. Creativity wise, though, Sergio Reguilon has a 60 over his 48, so more creative, better crosser of the ball. But again, technically, Takehiro Tomiyasu is a 55 over 54, so more technically capable than Sergio Reguilon. Defensive, they're about the same. Takehiro Tomiyasu is 2 or 3 points better defender than Sergio Reguilon. And then tactically, which again, this is when we're talking about tactics, this is a person who's off the ball movement, their footballing IQ. He's over 20 points higher than Sergio Reguilon on tactical awareness, right? So, in my opinion, the two most important things for a footballer is technical and tactical ability. Yeah, because being smart in those two areas can cover up deficiencies that you have, maybe attacking, creative, or defensive, because you're able to create those things. So yeah, I would say he would be a good, even if you want to play him as a right back in that same type of situation where, like a Japhet Tanganga is playing right back, he can fill that role very well, which is where it's almost kind of like you're playing a false back three, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then
we're not looking at mega bucks as well, are we? Will? It's not like we're looking at taking a risk on a 50. Yeah, exactly. It's not like we're taking a risk on a 50 million pound player or a 40 million or even 60 million. We're not. It's priced right for a player who's got potential and could become a very good player. I think it's priced absolutely right, which is a rarity in today's game. 20 million is about right, and if at the age of 22, mate, we can get 5-6 years out of him easily.
So let's put it this way: here's a great comparison, and I know he's not a right back, but he does play right back. Right? Is that he's almost identical to Serge Aurier in the creative, attacking, and technical ability, but he's about 7 points higher in defensive and 20 points higher in tactical awareness. So Think of him as a far better Aurier. That makes sense. Which Aurier can be really good sometimes.
You can, yeah. We've seen him, yeah.
Defensively, he shambles, and his tactical awareness of leaving his man unmarked is pretty bad. So, all that stuff.
Upgrade on Aurier can never be a bad thing. And again, I know I keep on harping about the age as well. You know, we're looking at a player who's 6 years younger than Aurier. And if his stats are already in comparison to a player who's older than him, it can, as a famous song goes, things can only get better. And I think he can only be a good investment, a good player to come into the squad, and that's what we need: strength in numbers and certainly strength in quality. And from his stats, from what I see and from what I hear, he can only be a good addition to our squad.
Yeah, and now, granted, this will be his first time playing in the Premier League, which is a completely different beast. So, you know, all of this is all relative to, you know.
But he's not stayed in one league, has he, Will? He's been to the Dutch league.
In Belgium.
Belgium. And he's gone to, obviously started off at his home, then he's been to a couple of European leagues. So, and that's what we don't want. We don't want someone to come in and be overawed by the Premier League. And I'm sure he's watched the Premier League week in, week out as well, being in Europe. So, the fact he has such a tender age, you know, moved around Europe, he's not going to go into it's not like he doesn't have the experience of going into a new environment. So, again, another tick.
And the J League's not a complete shabby league. I mean, it is ranked 25th in the world, and you could say that it's the equivalent of playing for the Scottish Premiership.
Yeah.
So it's it's not great league, but it's not horrible league. But I mean, he hasn't played for them since 2017, 2018 when he was under 18. But he did make senior appearances very young in his career.
Yeah, that's it.
So I think he will do fine. Would I say that it's if that was the only defensive signing we made this year, that I would say that it's a successful transfer window? Absolutely not.
No.
But if it's him in partnership with another more of a, I guess you could say, traditional defender, I would say it's a good start to the rebuild at the back. But I mean, that's just kind of what you need to know about Takehiro Tomiyasu. I mean, I don't think you can know much more because he's coming from an Italian league and coming in. My only other suggestion would be to watch the highlight. I don't. At this point in time, I think there's enough people out there on YouTube who have done research on him that you can skip the highlight videos. Yeah. But go out on YouTube and see if you can find. I found a few, so I know they're out there. Where you type in like Takehiro Tomiyasu, all touches, and then you can kind of watch. Basically, it's a personal highlight reel where it shows the good and the bad, right? Because the highlight reels are just the good stuff, right? It's the best of the best.
I think there's one compiled about a week ago, Will, and that's probably the best one I've seen. It's pretty new. I can't remember who the guys are, but really, it's got the goal in there, and it's got his him playing out the back a couple of times, and certainly down the right as well. Certainly a great one.
Yeah, and so he's kind of known for his speed. So he's physically strong, ambidextrous, and fast. So that's his style of playing, and that's what he's most well known for. For people that don't know, he has two sisters, and both of his sisters are competitive swimmers, and he did that as a child as well, but switched to football. So,
sporting family. Does that mean he's going to do a lot of diving? Hey, sorry, yeah, cheers for that. Thank you.
Good at the new diving pool there in Living Land. But it also says that he does speak Italian. I don't know. I don't know how much English he speaks, but he speaks a little bit. But
he's willing to learn. He's gone to another country, learnt their language, so that's always holds in good stead. But you do find a lot of players from the Asian continent do speak fluent English. So I don't think that really matters too much because football has its own language anyway. But the fact he's willing to go to a European country and learn different language again at such an age just shows his determination to fit in.
2 for like 40 million or 1 legit defender for 40, 50. 2. We need 2. If you could get 2 good I think that he's a decent player. I have not seen or heard anything that he's not, right? I have not heard a single bad thing about him out there. And like I said, I've done a lot of research on it. But don't trust me. Do your own research as well. I haven't heard anything bad about it. But we need to get to a point where we're not playing Davinson Sanchez and Eric Dyer. Right. So one guy at 40 or 50 million is not going to cut it. And I would have Takehiro Tomiyasu over Vestergaard right now all day. I'm sorry, I don't rate Vestergaard. I would rather have Anderson. I'd rather have Connor Cody.
Yeah.
I'd rather have those guys than Vestergaard.
The issue with it is with Anderson. Having said that, he's got a Premier League experience, which we need. We would have, for me, it has to be Tomiyasu, Rodon, and then another.
Yeah.
If we bring Anderson in, that is a very, very young back three. But I'll say sod it, mate. Can't get any worse than what we've had. And if it means 3 youngsters playing at the back, they got to learn. Nuno believes in youth. Vestergaard, yeah, I've never rated him. I've gone on record to say that a few times. Maybe it's the team he's played in. The fact he's been in 2 9-nillers doesn't hold him in good stead. But yeah, and I think any other person, I'd love a Skriniar, but mate, we're talking double 40 million, aren't we, to get him in? And certainly 60. So Skriniar would be, for me, the ideal person in the middle to say, right, this is what we're doing. But what he lacks, what Anderson has, is Premier League experience. So Anderson, for me, yeah.
It's just the and then Mr. Paul Anderson himself, he disagrees. He says Vestergaard is a top center back, very composed and tall, which we lack. No, he's tall and big. That's it. Okay. Composed, I disagree with. He is very much like Eric Dyer in the fact that at times he can be brilliant, and at times he can get turned inside out, lose his head, and fall apart, which is not what we want. I want someone who's tactically and technically sound, consistent, even if they're not as big and strong as Vestergaard is. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, as a tall man myself, when you play sports as a big person, you can paper over the cracks in your deficiencies simply on your stature alone, right? Vestergaard's what, 6'5", 6'6", right?
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like, Andre the Giant out there a lot of the times. He does turn like an 18-wheeler. Even me and my size, I have 0 to no skill outside of Sunday league type playing, right? I could dominate the box against smaller players who are far more technically and tactical than me because of simply my size. Right?
A lot of people, I do think a lot of people look at Vestergaard and think, oh, Premier League experience, he's got it within. Eric Dyer and Sanchez have got Premier League experience. Don't get me wrong. If he was to come in as a last choice, no, I'm going to go back on that. I wouldn't be happy. I'd rather keep Dyer, believe it or not. Anderson's the one for me. It's just I don't think Nuno will have the guts to play. A 20. Well, then again, Rodon's not young. A 25-year-old a 23-year-old and a 22-year-old as a back three. I'd love it. I'd think it'd be absolutely awesome to see some youngsters playing there, and obviously develop. But I don't think managers do that nowadays. So it's way to go. We just need, in my eyes, if Toby goes, ideally Toby stays, mate, because Toby in between, or certainly helping the likes of Rodon and Tomiyasu would be absolutely fantastic. That's the dream. Toby hasn't got the legs, of course. He can't play every single game. But being around the squad and the amount of experience them two can sponge off Toby, I think Rodon has. That's why we've seen that. So really good performances from him. But we need that. We need someone there as a sponge and someone who can, in a nice way, dictate what you need to do on the pitch where you need to do it. Toby, for me, needs to stay, but it does not like it.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to go, I just say, and we've said this before, man, this isn't the first time that Toby's come out and said that he wanted to leave, right? So, you know what? I think if he wants to go, he can go. I definitely think that we do need one more center back, and it looks like we are looking. I don't think that that's going to be the only defensive signing that we make this season.
Milenkovic seems to be spoken about quite a bit, doesn't he? He seems to be
Milenkovic, Skriniar, Anderson, Connor Cody. There's about 4 or 5 other people that we are. I don't like Connor Cody. I don't. No, that was a bit harsh. I don't think he'd be the right player to sign. I spoke about adaptability earlier. We need someone who can come in, who can play in a 3, but also revert to a back 4. And the guy struggles in a back 4. Well, he's not a player who can play in a back 4, and there will be times where we do have to play in a back 4, especially if we're chasing a game. And I just don't have the trust. There's a reason why Liverpool let him go, and there's a reason why he is a big fish at Wolves. I don't think he'd be the right fit for Spurs. But with regards to Abdul, 100%, Milenkovic, Anderson would be way above Connor Cody. He just doesn't do it for me, Connor Cody. Yeah, another option around that price. I don't know what those guys' prices are. Is that 25 to 30
I think
million?
Milenkovic is about 25. Anderson would be around the 25 as well. So they're not going to break the bank, you'd think. And certainly if we can sell a couple of players, they could be a good investment without splashing the cash.
Yeah, and for me too, look, I just think we already know this, the stuff we have is poor, and I'm not saying to go out there and sign willy-nilly just to get in different things, but I think I'm taking some chances because look, I'm going to tell you right now, right, that Takehiro Tomiyasu is going to give 110% because he wants this chance, right? And I think that sometimes players, if they're new like that and they want to come in and they want to do the best, will work harder. I mean, look at Højbjerg when he came into the club. Sergio Reguilón for the first half of the season. I know that the second half of the season he had some defensive mistakes, but you got to admit the whole atmosphere at the club was pretty damn toxic for that period.
As far as Sonny, mate, as well. Sonny, he's always wanted to come in and try. Yeah, he didn't have a good start, but he was a trier. You could always see him doing his best, and look at him now.
And so, and people can, people can call him Tommy Boy and make a song and do whatever you want to do, and even though it's Tomiyasu.
Phil Ambrose comes out with a really good. I didn't realise that Umiti from Barcelona's possibly going on a free. Mate, I've always rated him. He had some really bad injury, and his form dipped. I think coincided with injuries, but a different climate, different change. Mate, he's a big brawler. On his day, he was one of the best. He was first choice for a while at Barca. So Phil's got a point there. Certainly worth considering, Phil. Big up, mate.
Yeah, and I think the Cavs say they think it's more important to get rid of the toxic players than the new signings. I agree with you, but once you get rid of those toxic players, you have to replace them with somebody. And I think that Tomiyasu is going to be an okay signing. Is it somebody that I would be like, man, this is going to be amazing. He's going to be, he's the next Virgil van Dijk. No, I don't think that's it. But is he someone that can come in and do a really good job and who's going to give a lot of effort to the team and kind of have, like Kudos says here, is kind of have that Japanese attitude of, kamikaze, run myself into the ground for the club, for sure. I mean, that's just the mentality of players there.
It's not quantity. It's not a quantity thing within the squad. I think the quantity's always been there. It's the quality. It's the mindset.
Yeah,
that we
mentality.
Mentality. Absolutely.
Right. He's not going to be a drama queen. Right. He's not going to be out there saying, I need to get more playing time because I'm, the best player on the team, and why are you starting me over somebody else, and da da da. Right? He's gonna go out there and play it.
Absolutely. But
that's our kind of breakdown. We did an hour on Mr. Tomiyasu here. The rest of this time, though, there are some other news that I wanted to kind of bring up and talk about. One is the fact that it kind of ties into this stuff. He says he's injury prone and an average defender. We should avoid him at all costs. If he's free, I would say he's better than Eric Dyer, right? But that is the new news: is that Barcelona is now banned from signing any new players until they lower their wage bill by over 200,000 euro a week.
Crazy, man.
So they have to lower that by 200,000 euro a week in order to sign, and that's just to be able to sign more players. That means they potentially have to go even lower than that because whoever they sign is going to get added on as well. So right now it looks like we may be seeing kind of a wholesale Barcelona list. So I'm going to pull them up here on SofaScore. Are there any particular players there at Barcelona that you think are, mid-tier? What about like a Serginho Dest, the American right back that they got there?
Great right back. Anyone who plays for Barcelona, and I know I've dissed them in the past and said, it's a two-team league. But they're shown in Champions League what they're made of. I honestly would take some of the youngsters as well. There's a couple of youngsters who are there, and the obvious people that people will talk about is obviously a Messi. There's no way he's going to come in. But what's the crazy thing about it? They've brought the likes of Aguero and Memphis Depay, but they can't register them. They can't register them to play for next season because of their threshold, the wage threshold. So they've got a few players on the books who they've bought, but they can't register them to fit in the team. That's a crazy situation, and you do wonder what kind of mess the higher beings in finance and the money people have overlooked and not realised that they're in this position. It's a crazy situation, and probably the worst run big team I can remember, because the Whispers have been around for 2 or 3 seasons now. The whole Messi facade, giving him more than potentially the club makes in a game per week. So no, it's a crazy situation. But yeah, it won't be just us. There'll be many teams around Europe and around the world who'll be looking at Barcelona and thinking, who could we pounce on to bring with us? Sorry, but Dest, 100%. The first player that came to my mind. Young, attacking, good defensively.
Average. I would say average defensively. He. I don't know if it's just necessarily because he gets a little cocky playing with the U.S. men's national team. Like I would, right? If I'm playing if I'm starting for Barcelona, 60% of the time, I'm going to be a little bit cocky too, coming into a squad full of MLS players, right? Like that's just going to happen. So he does tend to play from the national team standpoint a little bit riskier than I think that I would feel comfortable with for Tottenham. But now, granted, that is with that in mind, right? Because he doesn't tend to do that for Barcelona, I've seen.
D-Trex Kane says, I can't remember players. Puig, great, really good youngster as well. Midfielder, isn't he? And he can play off the wing as well. Good young player. It's the young players who I'd actually look at. But then Barcelona are probably thinking if there's any players who we do want to keep, are probably the youngsters. So it's one of those. But yeah, there's plenty of Coutinho, I think, is available as well. I think it's late 20s, probably. Yeah, he's nearly hitting 30, isn't he? But certainly I'll take him. I'd say, especially with the loss of Bale. We need someone down the right, and he can certainly play right, left, or middle. Depends on how much he's going for. I think 20 or 30 million would be the investment. But Barcelona, I think they'll probably let him go for about 20 odd.
Yeah, I think they got people too like Moriba.
Yeah.
He's a midfielder, just kind of like a center midfielder. You know, he's 18 years old. He's played 14 matches. He started 4. He's kind of a, more of like a Sissoko type guy. And he's, being only 18 and starting 4 matches for Barcelona, you have to have some little bit of talent. And it'll be curious to see, what Barcelona does.
Yeah.
And then, we've been linked with Panic, he seems just a bit old for me. Like if we got him in on a free or something like that.
Yeah, he's never had the legs. He's never been the paces for players. And suffice to say, as you get older, you're going to get slower. And he is slow.
Yeah. And for me, too, it's just simply the fact that he's, he's just a kind of like a deep line, playmaker, right? So, I mean, he's a great player. And he was really good in his day. I just think he's a bit too old to be going in there.
My fear is him coming in and taking Skip's place. No, Skip for me needs to be integrated into that first team alongside Højbjerg. And if it means a 30-year-old coming in who's lost his legs, then no, I wouldn't be for it. Yes, we need numbers.
What about going in for somebody like Fati or something like that, like with a buyback clause?
Yeah,
I mean, even if it's just for a couple of years, you know what I mean?
Again,
or on loan.
Speedy, great potential. But yeah, it'd be a buyback clause with they're not going to just let him go like that, are they? With the amount of potential the guy's got as well.
Yeah, no.
Diminutive, pacey, end product as well. Certainly, well, definitely. Mate, Barcelona's Barcelona, isn't it?
I mean, he had 7 appearances and scored 4 goals, right? Like you're not.
It's not bad, is it?
No,
that's not bad.
But I mean, I think somebody for like on loan. Right, like that would be because you think about it. You just who are the people they just bought? Like is like Depay, right? And
Aguero.
Edison. So I mean, you can't imagine having Aguero and Depay there that Fati is going to be playing much. So why not send him out on loan? Because that gets him off your wage books technically, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Heck, I'd take him.
Yeah, absolutely.
First season or two.
What about Dembele? How did he? Have you got his stats up there?
Ousmane Dembele. Oh man, he
came onto.
He never plays, dude.
He came onto the scene, didn't he?
And flash in the pan.
Best thing, but yeah, unfortunate.
I'd stay away from that. That's and look, I don't want to sound like I'm being xenophobic or anything, but French players, their attitudes just rub me the wrong way.
They're laid back, aren't they? They're a bit laid back.
It's not laid back. It's almost like they're so full of themselves that it's like they just don't try. Like I'm this. You know what I mean? And it's frustrating for me. Another person who doesn't see a lot of game time is Frankie de Jong.
Yeah, Yeah, but again, I think there's so much potential. They bought him when he was absolutely killing it, wasn't he?
Oh, he's 24 now, man. He's not like he's a young
24.
buck anymore.
Yeah,
No, only a year younger than Delhi.
And he'll be on a high wage as well. I don't know, mate. Like I say, I'm happy to if Barcelona turned around and said, "Look, here's 3 of our players, and they're going to cost you 100 million." You'd take it. You'd take it, such as quality. But I wonder how Madrid's, because there's obviously rumours been around that Madrid are suffering financially as well. Hence the whole Bale scenario came to fruition. I just wonder how much trouble they're in, and if we're likely to see anything, any big movements coming out of Madrid as well. You know, the fact that Varane's attached to Man United. Having said that, he's been there for a while, probably needs a change. Ramos is obviously gone. Big changes there. And then you start second guessing, Bale. Is he definitely going back to Madrid, regardless of having a new manager? Can they afford to keep him under the same wages? Because I'm sure there'll be a case of, look, mate, you're coming back, but we no way can pay you £500,000 a week. £500,000 a week, yeah. So it does make you wonder what the state of Spanish football is. Atletico Madrid seem to be doing everything right.
I didn't say he wasn't a consistent starter. I said he's
new
and not.
He's not been consistent, has he?
Not been consistent as a starter, but not a consistent starter. Two different things. But anyway, I mean, it's just kind of a cool thing because I mean, it's like who does Barcelona value and who does and who is, because it really what's going to happen is it's going to be Lionel Messi making the choice on who he wants to play with, right?
100%. Messi likely to take a pay cut? What do you reckon? It's not going to happen, is it? That's what needs to happen. Is Messi to turn around and say, right, I love this club so much, I am willing to take a pay cut. No chance. That's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. Hence the reason why all these people getting excited about, Messi's going to move. Nah, he's comfortable. I've called him it before. He's a bit of a chicken. You know, he's comfortable in his own surroundings, and he wouldn't dare move. Unlike the best player in the world.
And Barcelona had a really bad season last year. Like the end result didn't turn out horrible. You know, but I'm telling you, the whole they were outside the top 4 for a good half the season.
Yeah.
So it's not like, you know, they strung some results. But I mean, if you're Lionel Messi, why are they? Look, if you're having these financial problems, why are you even trying to bring Messi back? Now, granted, he is Messi.
Yeah.
But reload.
He doesn't earn 200 million, mate.
He was getting like $2 million a week.
Reload. Honestly, when you work out, well, I know we manage a wage cut, but you look at what he earns per year, mate. Honestly,
I don't think it's 200 million total. If you were to cut 200 million in wages, that's a ton of wages that you have to cut. That's like 50% of the team.
Exactly.
I think it's 200K a week that they needed to cut. Hold on, let me double check.
Yeah.
A tweet there. They got to get rid of a ton of players if they have to cut 200 million euro in wages.
Yeah, I don't think it's that much. Here we go. So breaking news: Barcelona cannot register any new signings for exceeding the La Liga salary limit. Not Sergio Arosa. They must reduce their wage bill by 200,000.
Yeah, so 200,000, not 200 million.
Yeah. But even 200 million, trust me, is earning more than that a year. But no, salary-wise, reload, mate, it's 200,000 that they have to per week that they need to decrease it by. That's suffice to say, a bit more achievable by getting rid of some players on the cheap. I mean, technically, 3 players should be able. 3 players should be able to cover that loss. So But yeah, Matt Hayes raid. Has Matt Hayes been going live as well?
Better get him, Matt Hayes. Yeah, he was live earlier. He had a viewer call-in show that was on. It better be a Matt Hayes raid, and you all better subscribe if you're coming over from the Matt Hayes raid too. So, but no. The kid, why were you over on Matt Hayes and not over here?
On, kid.
Come on, man. Come on, dude. Us Yanks got to stick together, man. What's going on with that?
Just shows, isn't it? True colors, mate.
But he could take a 200,000 euro a week cut, probably pretty easy, especially since he was on almost 2 million a week. Yeah. 2 million a week.
He ain't gonna do that. There's no chance, mate. Would you?
No.
Exactly.
After the career that I put in, I'd say screw you.
Yeah, too right.
Don't sign me again if you don't want.
And you and Messi are kind of similar in wages anyway, aren't you? So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'd probably end up making more money a year if I got the change out of his couch cushions than I do right now. So.
Probably right. Yeah. What's
probably just rolls of euro just falling out of his pockets into his thing. Thank you very much, Matt Hayes, for the raid. Yeah. Everybody who is watching, please like and subscribe the video. We have 67, 70 people watching right now. All the subscribes to the channel would be appreciated if you are new. For example, Adam William Cahill. I don't know if you're subscribed to the channel, and Will Stapleton.
Matt says sorry. Too late, Matt.
No, it's okay, Matt. You're fine. But actually, the numbers didn't drop that bad, so. But the numbers are going up now more, so.
I want to know what Matt was, because there's always a breaking news. Does he have news? Does he have news of some sort? Matt, please tell us.
No, it was a call-in show, I do think.
Oh, was it? All right.
Matt does it. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. I was joshing. The only reason why I even brought it up at the beginning of the show is because me and Bob were talking about it backstage. So
yeah, that's it. Hoiberg the General, it says Matt Hayes raid. Mate, you were on the channel earlier, so you've gone into Matt's channel and then come back for a raid.
No, I think he's laughing because he's been in the chat the whole time.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Dude, I've actually seen people do that. So like even our 9 at 9, I've seen people chatting in David's stream and our stream at the same time. So they're on their computer with two browsers going on.
Wicked.
You guys are nuts,
mate. That's
to do that. Right, nuts.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
She said, "I was just calling show for Nina."
All right, okay, that's fine.
And Gingy says, "# no to Max."
Brilliant.
Says he'll join that campaign. You kid says he does that all the time.
Oh, wicked. Well, young kids
guys
nowadays have got a bit more of a attention span than us oldies, eh?
Well, I'll do that sometimes. Like my wife always gets mad at me because a lot of times I'll have like a stream on while I'm watching TV. She's like, just pick one.
Yeah, no.
Like, no, I'm not really listening to this. I am, but I'm not,
Yeah.
Yeah, Brad, we're going to be, thank you for the £5 super chat. Thought I'd pop in for a bit before seeing who England will get in the Euro final. Yeah, if you're just popping in now, thank you for the £5 for sure.
Big up. If
you are curious on Takehiro Tomiyasu, we do some pretty in-depth background on him. I wouldn't say it's like extensive, but it is really good information. So if you are current to that, and we will be jumping off here in a little bit to do that. To watch that game. We may run into like the first 10, 15 minutes of it, but we're not gonna. I want to watch that game as well too. I want to see if Italy has the canads to knock out Spain, but. The other big news of the day, besides the fact that Barcelona needs to basically have a garage sale of players is, or a boot sale. I guess that's what you guys call it, right?
Yeah.
A boot sale. Is that Dele Alli
Mm.
come out and said that he is now focused,
Before?
ready and raring, ready for Nuno Espirito Santo to come in. He's going to change. He's not just going to be as good as he was before. He's going to even be better.
Yeah, I saw the video. I know there's not been a lot been printed about what he said, but I actually saw the video he had with the young man, and yeah, he said all the right things. But he said all the right things last season. Remember at the beginning of last season, the likes of Dyer was saying it's great to see the old Ali back, and this is going to be a change. So it's all about what he does on the pitch. I'll give him till Jan. I've said this to Brian Daigle, who wants him out now. Brian's under the impression that if Dele Alli pulls it out of the bag now and starts playing, kind of shits over his last 3 seasons and the mentality he's shown. Why didn't he do it in the last 2 seasons, and why is he coming out with it? You can't pick and choose when you want to play and when you can play. So he's right to an extent, but for me, I'd give him till Jan. And if he doesn't perform, his value isn't going to decrease that much between start of season and Jan. And if he becomes that player, close to that player who we all know he can be, then it's only good for us. We've got a couple of super chats.
Yeah, so we've got Mr. Ginty here that says, whatever that says, come on, Denmark.
Yeah.
Okay, those are DK. Sorry.
DK.
Make sure you put a space in between your flags and your words, because for me, when I read it, it just says DK, DK. So I'm like, are you writing in Cyrillic here? Is this Russian? What's going on?
Probably Scottish. Probably Scottish.
And then we got Shauna Baylor with a huge super chat. Shauna, you're amazing. You're far too generous to us YouTube folk. And big up Will and Bob Spur. Thank you for that, Shauna. 100%. And Matt's comments on Dele going to be better than before. Yeah, and I'm going to get a 6-pack and actual relationship. And then obviously Alex saying, stop having to go at Dele. He's too young. He's not that young, man. He's like 26 years old. And he wasn't coached well by Mourinho. That was only 18 months of his 3 years of badness. But that being said, I don't think that I do have more grace for Dele. I do think that it is I'm not saying it's impossible for him not to turn himself around, but he's got to prove it himself, right? He's got to show it, right? There's no more. He's had far too many chances to say,
point the finger elsewhere.
Yeah, to be left alone. You know what I mean? He's got this all in the zip. But also, too, other news that came out why we're doing this is Alistair Gold kind of put a roundup of the first day back at training for the non-players. Yeah. And he's had some words and some thoughts about it while we were here live. So I'll just kind of hit the main points. I don't want to make sure you go to Football London and actually read the article. I don't want to plagiarize his entire work, but just some fun things that are saying there. So Nuno got to meet all of the non-international players, or the players that aren't currently at Hotspur way. Was able to talk with them and have his preseason kind of match chat. But he also has to, it's not just the players that needs to get to know. He also needs to get to know all the people behind the scenes, stuff like that. So who are the players that were there today? Yeah, Dele, Eric Dyer, Sergio Reguilon, Matt Doherty, Joe Hart, Lucas Moore, Stephen Bergvine, Harry Winks, Eric Lamella, Cameron Carter-Vickers were all the ones who showed up for training today. And you had Nuno Espirito Santo with Ian Cathro and Rui Barbosa and Antonio Diaz, who was a fitness coach. And so it says that apparently that a lot of the fitness coaches were kind of focusing in on them, and they were doing all sorts of tests in the gym for fitness. The further non-internationals are expected to return this week. So some of the other players aren't doing that. And then other players who have gone out of competitions are supposed to return next week. And then obviously people who go late into the Euros or Copa America will probably not come back until July. Or not July, end of July.
Yeah.
Which is not a lot of time. So people like Harry Kane going to have a very short preseason.
It will be, and that's the biggest concern for me, is the fact that we do need to move on Deadwood. We haven't been able to. I'm not sure what Paratici is doing with regards to that. Is it, or is it a case of Nuno simply doing the whole slate clean thing? Clean slate, you know, we're taking it's a new start. I'm going to judge everyone from zero and see how it all goes, and then we'll see who we need to move on in Jan and in the summer. I hope not, because I think as Spurs fans who've been watching the team over the last few years, we can kind of gather where the abilities are and who's likely to come to the good and who's not. And it is a case with some people, it is a case of lack of ability. But I do feel Nuno's a type of manager who will come in and say, right, guys, forget what's happened. Let's start again. Let's judge it from going forward now. But I'd like to think he's seen some Spurs games and certainly spoken to Jose, who I'm sure would have given him a bit of feedback of what he's letting himself in for.
And he says, not yet. We haven't sold Cameron Carter-Vickers yet. He was on loan.
Yeah, he's been there for what? About 48 years now. So yeah, we can't get rid of him.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, frank with you, even though he's technically a British guy, he's a dual citizen, right?
Yeah.
I'd just sell him to an MLS club.
Yeah,
I think he needs to go. Go to the U.S. Let him go play for an MLS club.
For his
he'd be super successful there because MLS is short in defenders, dude. I'm telling you right now.
And he's got the physique. He's strong, and I don't know what it is with him because I saw him play. What about 3 years ago? And
if he really wants to get back into the U.S. men's national team, which is where he is slated on the international stage, he needs to be playing, and he's not going to be being picked for playing where he's playing now. If he's not playing week in, week out, and he's just not, like, even in the championship, he's not playing week in, week out. So, which he started to play more later on this season, I think, because they had some injuries and stuff like that. But he just needs to do a transfer to MLS, sell him for $5 to $10 million or whatever, and
get him off the books,
let him go,
a bit of space, and for his own sake, restart.
Both,
because he's still young, mid-20s, isn't he? 26.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's mid-20s. So. Yeah, for his own sake, I think he just needs a refresh of his career because
he is 23, so he's still young.
There you go, mate. Oh. Plenty of time. But yeah, I mentioned I brought up the question yesterday. Are you happy? Because it does look like we're going to be starting the season, unless something drastically changes within the next few weeks. It looks like we will be starting the season with the squad full of likes of Winks, Sanchez, Dyer, Sissoko. Are we just as a Spurs fan base? Are we ready for that? Do we just accept that's gonna happen?
Do what now?
Let's say start the season with the likes of Winks, Sissoko, Sanchez, and Dyer in the squad. Are you ready for that?
No. No, not at all. Not at all.
No, it's Alex D's defending Dali very well.
Yes, he always does.
Yeah,
he's not a puppy, Alex.
yeah. No one's questioning his so-called potential or so-called ability. No one's let himself down more than himself, and that's coming from the horse's mouth. You know, it's all very well defending him, but he's the one who's admitted himself. You're basically saying what Ali said out from his own mouth is wrong. We're just reiterating what
well, in fact, in Ali's interview, he actually praised Jose Mourinho, said he was a great manager and he loved working his time. Now, is that, hot air? That's a different thing, but I don't think it's Jose's fault that Delhi is the way that he is, because he was playing that way under Pochettino as well. Exactly. I mean, was Jose Mourinho's kind of, pick yourself up by your bootstraps attitude helpful for Delhi's situation? Probably not, but it's definitely not. I don't think it's a responsibility. I don't think it should be the responsibility of.
No, there's only so much.
I mean, I understand the frustration, like even with my own kid, right? Like him being at the top of the depth pool for his team, and the coach kind of coaching to the bottom, the lowest common denominator. Do I feel that sometimes my son gets left out of things? Yes, but he's better than, he shows the performances in game. He's better than most of the kids on his team last season. So does it make sense that the coach would be coaching down to the players who need the improvement over my son who doesn't? Sure, but do I feel like he's getting what I'm paying for? No, probably not. But that's football, right? So if my son's not getting the attention that he needs at training sessions, then he goes home and does it himself. Right? We take it upon ourselves. You know what I mean? Yeah. So with private teachers or instructions, or just Alex doing drills on his own.
Yeah, Alex says, sorry, Spurs fans keep saying Spurs fans keep saying Deadwood. They are good players.
They're not good players.
Just need a change, mate. Alex, if they were good players, buddy, you'd have a line of teams wanting to. We're selling good players. If we're selling good players in the likes of Winks, we'd have a queue of teams ready to buy them. They're not good players. They've not showed. They might be good players, but they've not shown it that they have been good players, and hence the reason we can't move them on. In my opinion.
And Alex, I would love to have you on the show sometime, and we can debate it. We can even title the show "The Deadwood Debate."
Yeah,
and we can talk about it. It'd be great fun. And you can pick up the list of guests, and I'll bring them on. We can have the Deadwood Debate.
I've not seen his smile for a while. I've not seen him on any channels for a while. Is Alex, mate? YouTube's misses you. Get on, get back on.
Yep. I think my email address is in the about section of the channel. So
it's only fair. They're about to kick off. Will, what do you reckon, mate? Spain, Italy. What's your thoughts?
Spain, Italy. I think Italy's going to win. To be fair, what do I have as my score today? My score today. I do the kiss my score thing from David. I think I got 3-1 Italy today.
3-1.
Yeah.
They've been consistent, haven't they? There's one team who've been consistent alongside England.
And I think Spain's kind of limped their way through this tournament, to be fair. I don't think Spain is a solid squad. I don't know. What are your thoughts, though?
Yeah. I think Italy just looked absolutely brilliant. I think the couple of players that they're missing today won't miss them as much as they'll probably miss them against when they play hopefully England. I just assumed we were going to play them in the final. But Spain, they just haven't looked tight defensively. They had one of the most boring game in the Euros so far. The first game against Sweden, was it? But then they had the most exciting one against the Czechs. Was it 5-3? I think they're good going forward. They're a bit dodgy going at the back. So I expect, and I think Colin's just basically said it, 4-2. I think it's going to be 4-2 to Italy today. I think they'll concede a couple, but I think they'll score a few as well.
They haven't conceded a lot. For Italy to concede too, that means Spain's going to be pretty dang.
Yeah, they're good going forward. Good going forward, and for me, it's unbelievable how the likes of Bonucci and Chiellini can play a high line and not get caught out constantly. It just shows how good of defenders they are.
It's being tactically aware. It's being able to read the game well, right? If you can, and that's what I was trying to say about Mr. Tomiyasu here, is that when you're tactically aware, when you're reading the game and you're basically anticipating what's going to happen next, you don't have to be as good or as fast or as other people, because you're being good by putting yourself in the right spaces, right? Be honest with you, football is more about putting yourself in the right spot than it is about your physical or technical ability. 100%. If you're able, especially even as an attacker, if you're able to find yourself in the box at the right time, in the right space, you don't have to be Lionel Messi to get good numbers, right? You know what I mean? You benefit from being at the right spot at the right time.
That's it. And that comes with experience as well. And one thing they have got, they might have the legs, but they've certainly got the experience.
Sure, and I mean, experience being some of the best center backs,
absolutely,
ever.
Absolutely.
I mean, Bonucci's probably going to end up being some kind of legend. You know what I mean? So in FIFA or something like that. So
yeah, definitely. Should be good.
But Bobby, my man, people want the numbers are dropping here pretty swiftly.
A few people saying goodbye in the chat as well.
Yeah. So for no further ado, man, thank you for coming in and chatting with me today on the Bald and Bearded Tottenham Boys show. One thing I did forget to do is talk about Williams Rangers, our Patreons. Make sure to head on over to patreon.com/THFCRants if you want to help support the channel. You can sign up for as little as $5 a month. Bob himself is one of those Rangers, and we appreciate all of the help and support. And as well, if you don't want to be, so we got Spartan Same Game, Wayne Bonner, Mama Coach, Stellar Agent, AJ Gogoma, Tony Go, Alex Burleson, and Bob Spur TV. Also, too, we do have the YouTube membership side of that now. We do have a new emoji because we do now have enough for 6 emojis. We have enough members to get 6 emojis. I think we need another 5 members to get 7 emojis.
Come on.
So if people want to sign up for that, you can do that as well. It's a little bit more convenient. YouTube does take a little bit more of the cut than Patreon does. But I'm actually looking to start some new shows this summer, starting in August for the next season. We'll probably start them as soon as possible. But I want to do a debate show. Yeah. I want to do a debate show where it's me, another person, and a moderator. So someone to just kind of come in and make sure that the conversation, not to take sides, but just to make sure that the conversation doesn't get crazy.
Too one-sided. Yeah.
But I want to have like an official debate where I'm talking like, 10-minute openings, have a specific topic, right? Is Dele Alli a piece of shit, right? Like, I mean, that's not the actual pay talk, but along those lines. And have an actual debate. 10-minute opening for this person, 10-minute opening for that person. Then you go into like 60 minutes of actual, open conversation, a back and forth debate, and then a Q&A from the audience based on, to defend the position, like an actual Spurs debate channel.
Brilliant.
Show. So people of opposite sides.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? It's going to be tough because a lot of people in our family share a lot of similar opinions, and that's not going to be fun. But like me and Stelios going over, can you support Nuno and Daniel Levy at the same time? Something like that, right? different topics like that. I think that would be a fun show. And then the bun. Yes, that is the new one. The bun is the new emoji. You can get Danny the bun emojis. Yeah. She says that type of show would be fun. Yeah, I think it would be fun. I think it'd be a good fun show. Just short, so you're only talking about an hour and maybe an hour and 30-minute show.
Mute the other person while you're
mute the other person.
Yeah, mute the other person while you're giving your defense.
Completely silent during the openings. People. It doesn't even have to be 10 minutes. However long of an opening the person wants to do, state their case. Boom, actual debate. Or it doesn't even have to be about Spurs. It could be about football in general. It could be about Daniel Levy. Like, I want to get someone on who is pro Daniel Levy against somebody and it doesn't have. I'll moderate the debates most of the time. There are some topics and some people that I would like to debate personally, but I'll moderate it. And so if Bob wants to come on and debate Bill Bez. Sorry, Bill, I just saw your name and it threw you up in there. So Bob's going to debate Bill Bez.
Yeah, okay, Bill Bez. That's fine.
And they're going to argue about, whatever, or Marcelo versus Alex D. Something along that line.
That's the spirit, Alex.
But Alex is picky about whose show he'll come on, though. That's a problem. He's not good. He's too good. Alex is too good to come on my show. I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing you, Alex. I'm calling you out, Alex.
Alex.
You don't have to be so picky. You can come on as many shows that you want. You don't have any signed contracts with people that I know of. Maybe you do. Maybe he does have a contract.
His smile is insured.
No, but Alex, I like you. I don't necessarily agree with your opinions, but I think that your opinions are
deluded sometimes.
Not deluded. They're deluded because I disagree with them, and I don't think they're deluded. But I mean, I think your opinions are valid enough, and you're good enough at expressing your opinions to where that you can come on and express them at any time and any place that you go. And thanks for watching the show anyway. Even if you decide you never want to come on it.
It's all very well giving opinions. I've always said this, I've always said it's all very well giving opinions, and you can totally disagree with myself, but back it up. Back it up. And if you back it up, 9 times out of 10, I'll probably see your point of view. But no, just don't, don't come out. Alex will always have an opinion, but my word, he'll back it to the hill. He'll back it to the hill, and he makes some really good points. But there's people out there who just a bit trigger happy without any kind of backup. There's a gentleman. I hope he doesn't mind, but there's a gentleman who I've been speaking to on Twitter, and he's not pro Levy. He's got no time for Levy, but he doesn't see the whole point of a Levy out, and he's someone that I really want to get on. And I'll tell you something, mate. He'd be a good person to have a debate with.
Yeah, any of those people. So that's some different kind of stuff like that I want to do, and so all the support for the channel helps those things too. So, but. Yeah, and there will not be 3 Wise Men show tonight. Mr. K is ill, so he's doing that. I'll probably do a show tomorrow, maybe before the England game. I don't know on what yet. For some reason, I just feel like I need to. Yeah, because otherwise there'll only be 1, 2, 3 shows this week. So I need to get that show count up. So I don't know, maybe around
9 on Thursday.
Yeah, 9 Thursday at Bob's channel. That's right. Yeah, definitely want to promote that. People who are watching, there's not a lot of you left. We should have done this at the beginning. I totally forgot.
That's right.
But for people who are watching back, make sure you do know there is 9 p.m. on Bob Spur TV. Make sure that you go over and subscribe to Bob Spur TV if you haven't already. Bob has, what are you sitting at, like 850 now?
Yeah, about 860
something. So Bob's got 860 subscribers. I have 1,230 or something like that. So that means that there's at least 300 of you who watch the videos on my channel who aren't subscribed to Bob's Per TV. Go over there. All 300 of you subscribe to Bob's Per's channel.
I agree.
Especially before this Thursday show, 9 and 9 p.m. We'll be, I don't know if Brian Daigle's going to be there, but the rest of the crew is supposed to be there. I have not heard from the rest of the crew. From Stell, obviously Bob's going to be there. It's on his channel. Henry Wright says he will be available. Iggy should be there. Danny Kariaku, will you be there on Thursday?
I will confirm. I'm going to get everyone to confirm.
Brian and Johnny Einstein, will you be there this Thursday?
Yeah.
That's the question. Brian started a new job, so I don't know if Brian's going to be a regular on the 9 at 9 show.
No, he's already confirmed with me. It's 10 o'clock onwards UK time. Is
yeah, so
9 o'clock's just too early.
Too early from the 9 at 9 show. But I think Jinty is available moving forward to participate. I think he'd be a good guest on the show.
Yeah, definitely.
Jinty the head. And yeah. But for all of you, 30 of you that are still watching the show instead of watching the football match, you guys are
big up.
True hardcore dedicated fans. But Bob, it's 3:15. We've been at this for an hour and 41 minutes, and people are wanting to watch the show. I want to watch the game. I'm sure you want to watch the game as well. So,
yeah,
folks, thank you very much for watching. Make sure to check. Look tomorrow for an announcement of me going live at some point in time. I don't know what I'm going to talk about or what the topic of the show will be. I'm thinking about doing, and whether it be Wednesday at 1 p.m. Or Monday at a little bit later of a time, but I want to kind of do like a THFC rants show for the UK folk. So just kind of like like a late night rant show, but maybe call it, I don't know, Wednesday night rants. And then just that gives the UK people to kind of be able to come on and call in and do all that stuff that they normally can't do because my show's on at 3 o'clock in the morning their time, right? So maybe throwing that one in there. Mondays I have free. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is really good for me because my wife's at work, so she doesn't gripe at me about being live. So
again, something I should have said earlier, on Saturdays when I do my In the Wall show, I am looking to bring on some of the Spurs YouTube family supporters in the chat. We had a couple of people in last Saturday, in Sandy and San, and Kirst, who are always in the chat, and they really loved it. It's not daunting, and I want to do that on a weekly basis. Just get a YouTube Spurs family non-YouTuber to come on. So if anyone's watching this later or in the chat now, if there's anything, if you fancy popping on, DM me at Bobsy73, or just put a comment in here, and I'm sure will let me know. So I want to do that on a regular basis. Just give them a bit of airtime. It's just something different, isn't it? Well, they deserve it. The amount of loyal people we've got following us, it'd be nice. It's nice to put them on.
No, 100%, 1,100%. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. And if you're watching this back after the fact, don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. Go over to Bob's channel, Bob's Per TV. The link to his channel is on our channel page. I will be adding it to the description as well. One great thing, Bob, is I don't know if you knew this or not, but once you hit 1,000, you can just @ people. You don't have to put a link. You just hit @ Bob's Per TV, and it automatically links it to your channel. It only works for channels that have 1,000 or more subscribers. We got to get Bob to that 1,000 mark so we can tag him. You can tag him. He can tag us. Make sure to go over to Bob's Per TV. I know that a lot of you watch the show after the fact. This show usually hits about 400 or 500 views live and then ends up at like 1,500. So that means that over 1,000 of you are going to watch the show back after the fact. Right, you got I'm on just jumping in here right now saying greetings. Yep, show's about to end, but thank you for joining.
Cheers, mate.
Make sure to go over and subscribe to Bob Spur TV. Just search YouTube. It's easy to find. Bob Spur TV. This is how it looks. Right there. Is it all one word on YouTube? Or is it Bob Spur Space TV, I think?
No,
but it doesn't matter. Just search it. It'll come up either way.
Yeah.
Very easy, very simple. Bob Spur TV. Look for that beautiful mug as the profile picture. And subscribe. Make sure you do that. Also subscribe here if this is your first time watching. We will be uploading this episode of the Ball and Beer Tottenham Boys Show to our Spotify. We do have a podcast as well for people who want to do that. Make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple iTunes, Anchor, any of your favorite podcasting platforms. This episode will be going live up there within 24 hours of the show. So make sure to go check that out if you like the podcast deal. Right? Some people like to listen to stuff in their headphones when they're driving, sleeping, doing whatever. Bob likes to fall asleep listening to my voice. And you could too. So make sure to do that. But anyway, folks, stay strong. Stay Spurs. And we'll see you next time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's go now.